Welcome back to the LEC for Game 2 and the final day of the first half of the round robin here. I'm still Drakos, still here with Ender. You can call us Drakender if you want. Really, it's up to you. I'm not going to pressure you into anything. But Game 1 was a little loose and a little goofy, I'm gonna say, both from the teams and from the casters. So we're gonna bring it down a notch. We're gonna rein it in. We're gonna hold it in, Ender, and we're gonna get a little bit more serious here this time around because it is Vitality versus Origen. As we enter picks and bans, I want to talk about expectations for both these teams because it's been not an ideal start, I would say, for either lineup.
For sure, and to lead with Origen, this is a team that is currently sitting 4-4 in the standings, right in that pack, tied in that fourth place slot, right? And this team has to pick up a win here against Vitality to round out the first half of the split. Otherwise, people have to start doubting them. Of course, still do have time to turn things around, even though it has been a little bit hit or miss for them. And on the other side of things, Vitality, a team that brought in some new players, surprised people with some big wins early on. Everyone remembers that big victory over G2, have been a little bit colder the last couple weeks. So this is another statement win you could take going into the second half.
Absolutely could be. For now, though, interesting to see the Aphelios banned away. A lot of respect paid over to Upset in that case. The champion clearly hasn't been having quite the results we expected this week. Syndra going to be banned away as well, the Thresh to follow. I wonder if we see a TF ban here. It's been surprisingly common even outside of Origen and G2, or rather G2 and Fnatic games, but see what the focus is for both sides.
Yeah, I mean, I think Fnatic, Twisted Fate has just been picking up a whole lot of priority recently around the world, you know? Seen a lot of ability to like make roams happen even before level 6, the pick potential in side lanes, even later on into the game is absolutely massive. So it's one of those champions that I think is definitely on people's radar right now. Maybe the weakness of it is that it doesn't team fight as well as your Oriannas or your Corkis or your Azirs, but it definitely has more snowball potential than any of those picks. So if you feel like you're better than an opponent, if you want to start roaming around and making an impact early on into the match, I think that's definitely the pick for you. And that has been a style that Origen have been trying to work into a little bit more, with Nukeduck picking up the Echo and the Twisted Fate himself. So maybe could be a different look here for Origen today.
Yeah, I'm really just waiting to see this final ban here. Of course, Ezreal and Kalista are both open, as well as the Ashe that Upset picked up yesterday. So I think he's trying to figure out what the ideal matchup is. Now, important to note that Ashe is a very strong laning matchup into Kalista. So if they pick the Kalista here, pretty easy for OG to respond with the Ashe, but Ezreal, just an all-in-all safe pick. So might be what we see from Vitality.
Yep, are going to go ahead and lock that one in. Now, yesterday when Mad Lions ran the Ezreal, they also went for the Yuumi, even post-nerf where her win rate tanked 5% across all ELOs on this most recent patch. So I'm curious to see if Vitality have a similar idea. Labrov has played a couple of games of Yuumi himself, but I personally love to see Labrov on the Thresh. So, I mean, of course they banned it themselves, but Playmakers is what I would like to see him breach out into.
As would I. Sad that he can't have the Thresh here, but the Volibear going to be this response for Origen, is a flex pick, can put it in the top lane, but for the most part we have seen it as sort of the new S-tier jungler. Kalista would be no surprise whatsoever, but technically OG could take their time. They didn't need to pick the Kalista there. They would have had one more pick in the first rotation if they wanted to see more on the side of Team Vitality.
So Vitality should be seeing the Kalista come through and be like, okay, Origen probably will eyeing the Nautilus for themselves. It's a big Destiny pick. It's a big combination there alongside the Kalista as well. So want to get something that can work into those two picks. And I feel like, so you could go Yuumi here, but you are running the very severe risk of being like heavily dove down towards that bottom side. So Vitality are actually going to hide their support pick for the time being, which I actually don't mind at all, and instead going to put Cabochard on tank duty once again. He's been on tank duty this entire split. I think he's played one game of Renekton, one game of Set, yeah, we can call him a damage dealer, and a game of Volibear, and I think he built Trinity Force. So that's the damage dealers he's played. He's had a lot of fun.
Yeah, look, like it's a spicy day for Cabochard when you know, he gets to play Sion instead of the Ornn. You know, really mix it up in the tank department. But he is just on the classic weak side top lane duty this time around. Nukeduck's gonna get his hands on the Azir. I love Azir Kalista as a duo. Kalista so strong early to mid. Azir so strong mid to late. I feel like that's just really solid so far from Origen. But support discussion is interesting. The Yuumi ban. I don't know if OG had to do it, but I guess you know, why not? Why not limit the power of the potential Ezreal Yuumi?
I mean, this is what this tells me, that teams at least this week, have still been screaming, have still been playing Ezreal Yuumi even after the nerfs, and I think that pro players are going to be better at mitigating some of the problems of that Yuumi, accessing the passive more and whatnot to make sure that you don't go completely inside of team fights, because that's really where the big nerf comes in, is where you can't just constantly spam those heals out during the engages. Now, a Skarner ban is really surprising here. Now, NG played this, I think, in week 1 as a counter pick into the Graves.
But to be fair, this is an NG pick. He has been known as like the Skarner, the Jarvan. He is the brains, not necessarily the hands of the jungler. So while we haven't seen it as much here, historically it has been a big comfort pick.
Yeah, I'm just sort of looking at what Vitality have right now, and I feel like they're going to need like a physical damage jungler is what I would be looking at for NG, so I don't know if you would want to go back to something like the Jarvan that he's run in the past. I think Jarvan probably doesn't work great in a game like this against, a lot of mobility with the Kalista and the Azir. Gragas is another one I could potentially see him eyeing up as something to run in with this.
Interesting as well. Technically, Set is also still up and available, which has become the kind of premier utility jungle. Kind of Skarner 2.0, it feels like in a lot of circumstances. But the Barb block in here, I'm going to say I really like this one. When you see a Kalista, you feel like she pretty much is always going to be paired with a melee support because she wants maximum value out of that passive to really offer strong engages. So getting a bit more range in the bot lane does free you up to play more aggressive in the early levels.
I mean, honestly, if there's ever a game to luck in the Blitzcrank, this would be it. I mean, you're against Ezreal, so maybe it's not ideal, but you see a range support like that, you do the old ballista tricks down towards the bottom side. Also thinking about the Bard versus Kalista is usually when Kalista is aggressing on you, she's like walking through the minion wave, autoing it to get the dashes across, so it actually lines up for very easy Bard stuns. So I think the theory can definitely work there, and Bard pairs very nicely, long range engage alongside both a Gragas and an Ornn to set up nicely.
Yeah, if you get the timing set up, that ult is so incredibly powerful, especially against what are two, let's call them pretty mobile carries actually, I guess, in Azir Kalista, but if they miss position once, you land that ult, then they're dead. There's really no chance for Origen to reset the fight. They don't have a tool like a Gragas. They don't have something like a Janet to push everyone away. Even a Braum, hell, would be decent disengage, but if Labrov can be on point with those ultimates, it's going to be very difficult for OG to be comfortable here.
Yeah, I think that right now Vitality have put together a very solid team fighting comp overall. I think Origen do have good things going for them, but looking a little bit more on Alphari to build up a lead on his own, which, hey, has been stock standard Origen so far this split, so I want to see what these teams can bring us to the table.
The song comes up.
Welcome to Summoner's Rift.
Oh, well, there you go. Hello, welcome back. Producer talking to my ears, I'm talking to all of you. We were debating about if we stopped talking too soon. That's the secret conversations that happen behind the scenes at the LEC. Vote for your MVP at LEC. That's your time. Now's your time to shine. Twitch chat, those of you at home. As we do get into our second game of the day, Ender, what are we looking at? I love to talk about Bard, but Bard's not always the most important character on the Rift. I have to accept that. So who is? Who do we need to actually keep our eyes on in this early game?
I mean, honestly, I was going to say, like, bot lane could get a little bit spicy here with Kalista and the Leona. Like, you definitely have the ability to play through that lane. I would also say, like, Xerxe can visit top lane. So I'm actually just, in general, looking more at Xerxe to make moves. We've seen a lot of Volibears do 3 camps and immediately start looking for ganks around the map. So seeing him go down towards his blue buff tells me that he could be looking for a very early visit around that top lane. Assuming that Alphari holds the lane in a decent state, he could set up for a gank onto that Ornn, who, of course, melee champion has to walk up into the wave to CS, and Aatrox can provide some pretty solid setup.
And Aatrox is a champion that we've seen banned a lot in second phase. I always assumed it was to set up either a blind Renekton or to generally just remove safe blind picks, but I'm curious to see what Aatrox looks like on this patch, especially after the most recent set of Conqueror adjustments, so that it now has, the whole 12 stacks to get going. Presumably still a strong matchup overall, but can we see the same dominant level of performance from Alphari that we've seen in pretty much every game prior to this one?
Well, not if he misses every Q on the first wave. I'm going to say that, but I think Alphari will be able to will be able to pull it back in, no problem up here. At the time, he's actually just trying to stack up his wave and deny as many minions as possible, which is definitely the way you want to approach this laning phase. Hitting level 2, able to use that E to reposition the sweet spot on his knock up there as well. Will make so Cabochard can't actually take over very easily himself and ends up losing quite a few minions on that first push.
It has to be feeling pretty good for if you're OG right now, because you have a pushing bot lane, a pushing top lane, pushing mid lane as well. So Xerxe's got free license to invade the jungle, to set up for counter ganks anywhere he wants. It's a smooth early game for OG.
Yeah, Xerxe, instead of looking for any sort of early play, is just going to be full-on farming here. Now, with how Alphari was playing the top lane, like, that wave should end up bouncing once he pushes this one in towards the tower, but because it's a cannon wave, I still think it'll end up freezing over towards Cabochard's side of the lane once this next wave sort of comes in here, because, of course, Cabochard's minions going to be very busy dealing with what, you know, all the red minions, the cannon, they have to clear out there. So Alphari will continue this push forward, and with Xerxe pathing towards the bottom side of the map, spotting out, you know, the Raptor camp down there, Alphari does need to get this push going, otherwise he could be in danger of being ganked himself.
And a nice little bit of early proactive vision there in the Raptor camp means that Xerxe is going to be able to go up and take that one, as well as trade 1-for-1 on the Scuttle Crabs. We do see Gragas on the top side. I like that he's there, making sure that he's shadowing, that he's covering, because as 2 or 3 waves crashed into the tower simultaneously, it could have put Cabochard in a dicey situation early on, but NG's in the right place at the right time. And for now, Xerxe definitely pulling ahead in terms of power farming here. Early Gragas clear is solid, but definitely not as good as the Volibear these days.
But also, I think NG had the wrong read on Xerxe. So he walked into the topside jungle, of course, saw that there wasn't any Raptor camps there, so he pinged both the Krugs and the Grumps, saying, hey, Xerxe's either up there or he's down there. And the read was a bit wrong, of course, because Xerxe, instead of farming his Krugs, went and stole away, counter-jungled the Raptors. I think he just left one baby there and took that bottom side Scuttle Crab. So it's highly possible that NG has, like, the side of the map that he thinks Xerxe is on flipped. He could think Xerxe's top side when indeed he's pathing down there for that Grump camp, although I don't think the lanes are really set up for Xerxe to make any sort of gank play himself, so I don't think it'll end up drastically altering what NG does here. Yeah,
for now, moving in to contest the respawn there on the Raptors. So I've got a fun fact for you, Ender. So Upset, hold that thought, never mind. Nukeduck's in trouble, he's gonna flash away. The flash will not be traded.
Oh no! Oh, I really think NG could have followed the flash right there. So that's one thing you can do on the Gragas, where you actually hold on, so you body slam, wait for the flash until you see Nukeduck flash right there, and you can follow up and get the kill. Nukeduck, who is low on mana and also is running teleport instead of some sort of like barrier heal, etc., that would have certainly been a kill had NG been able to follow up with that flash.
That would have been. But in the meantime, OG are going to be able to take the Drake. Does not look like they're going to be contested here, just using that early bot lane pressure. Bard will finally go for the reset as NG sets his sights back top lane, just wants to take Krugs for now. So anyway, Ender, fun fact.
Yes.
Upset's only played 1 game on Kalista in LEC history so far, so this is his 2nd game. In spring 2018, Schalke was the last time he played it. Do you know who he played it against? It's just yeah, which team? It's obvious.
Okay.
Hint.
Wait, it's obvious.
It's like, it would be like the easy guess.
Oh, he played against Vitality?
Yes. Do you know what the result was?
Oh, okay. He probably won by a lot.
No, he lost horribly. It was an awful game.
He lost horribly?
Never mind. So
I was trying to think of Schalke. Oh no, because it was summer where they made it to the finals. Okay.
Yeah, it was also, I think, in peak Upset Attila rivalry era, and that might have been the game where yeah, Attila really popped off. You remember that one? That was a good time. So my narrative here is it's revenge for Upset. You like that? It's a bit of a stretch because Upset probably doesn't even remember that fun fact, but there you go. It's revenge.
It's 2 years late revenge against a different ADC player. He's like, yeah, come. Remember back in 2018, you guys dunked on my Kalista.
He walked into fans and he looked at Kyoto and he said, it's time to set the record straight, Kyoto. Kyoto put his hand on his shoulder and he said, I understand. We'll make it happen. And that's how we got Upset Kalista.
Yeah, he's probably mad. He saw Yamato winning a game in LCK earlier today. He's like, I will have my vengeance.
All right, so now that we're done writing our Upset Kalista fanfiction, but I am curious. The actual only valid point here is that Upset historically hasn't been a big Kalista player. I've always put him with kind of the Reckless, where he's like hasn't always loved that champion either. I would have said that about Sven, but Sven has obviously played it a lot more historically. So I do want to see how effective Upset can be on this champion. Obviously plays it in solo queue. Obviously is a very skilled AD carry, but Kalista is a very different bag of tricks to any other champion.
Yeah, and so far nothing really happened in the bot lane. Hasn't been able to build up a CS lead. I think it can sometimes be hard in these matchups where, like, you look at Kalista, Leona, you have really powerful all-in potential, especially when Destiny lands seems to go forward. Like, you're probably going to win out those fights. Now the problem is when you're playing against a ranged champion that they both have really solid disengage options. You almost never want to go for that E because you risk losing half your HP, all your potions inside of the lane, and then you can't actually threaten that. When a jungler comes down or these types of things. So the lane phase has been a little bit quiet other than NG just visiting bot lane right there. He spent a lot of time sitting on top of that ward, but does have the recently changed Predator boots, which have a much lower cooldown, so opens him up to making more plays, but I don't think Vitality are going to be looking to do too much. I think they're pretty comfortable just continue scaling on up in towards the later stage.
And I think that's very indicative. Oh, I hope that thought though, because NG's now in trouble. He's going to have to flash over the wall. Alphari flashing forward, but will not connect there on the Darkened Blade. Has to feel bad on that one. Was definitely hoping to finish a kill there, but we'll just trade flash for flash.
Yeah, when I was like, in draft, I said OG want Alphari to build up a solo advantage. That's not exactly what I had in mind, like flashing over the wall right there. But it does set up OG, resetting at the 8-minute mark to path up here towards the early Rift Herald. And this is like the most OG thing ever, and it is playing for these early objectives, right? They've put a focus on getting that Ocean Drake around 5-6 minutes down bot side because they have the powerful all-in of the Kalista Leona that opens them up to playing for that Drake, and then get the initial reset as well, so they can play for this Herald and end up dropping that one down. I also think because they saw NG topside, Alphari is going to feel a little bit more comfortable to go farm on this wave, but the next wave that crashes in, that's where he's going to have to be concerned that NG could make a move down, and now that NG's level 6, definitely has that option.
I have to see if there's going to be anything crazy happening here topside. You have to feel like both top laners are relatively safe until a jungler appears. Cabochard is now burned, is unstoppable. That's going to be big. Has to flash away from the stun. Ulti now coming in, but if they time the CC right, he's not going to get anything. Good knock up into the wall. Destiny pull back. They reset the aggro. Cabochard's still living. They're going to have to retreat here because now Milica's on the way. Xerxe is in trouble. Disaster tower dive for OG. NG's now here on the backside. Destiny flashing forward. Very bold. Throwing down the honey fruit as well.
Upset wins this.
Knock back, but that's the that flash was clean. 1 frame later, that boy would have been dead.
Yeah, that was so close, because Upset is going to win that fight up until Orianna can become involved, and to flash away from that wombo combo, NG just delivering him into the Orianna shockwave right there. That was really nice to get away alive.
But I have to say, for OG, fumbling that tower dive has to feel bad. Definitely not at all the start that they wanted. Vitality 1 kill up now. Gold, of course, still slightly in the favor of OG, but this was going to be that OG game you talked about, Ender. It was building lane advantages, turning those into objectives. I mean, look at the CS. They're winning across the board, but if they make fumbles like that, they're just going to allow Cabochard and the rest of Vitality right back into the game.
And with Origen, like, yes, they want to play over these objectives, but they also, I think, realize that, like, Kalista, Aatrox definitely want to take off a little bit earlier. They have good skirmishing potential, and that's why they tried to set up the dive. They also thought NG was going to go bot lane to dive Alphari, so they really got spun around when NG showed up underneath the tower, and with all the time Cabochard was able to buy, Milica TPing in, everything just sort of got knocked off kilter, and that's going to be a big problem for Origen now, that it's going to be much harder to force around Upset and Destiny, who no longer have their flashes.
True, and Destiny now going to...
But they have Hex flashes.
Destiny's just going to instantly come over the wall. Finds Labrov. Labrov quick on the tunnel to escape, and OG are going to commit to the dragon, but they do make sure to pull it out of the pit beforehand, and they like to see it. So 2 Drakes up for OG. That's going to be a solid advantage. Gold just about dead even, so while top lane was not good, it's also not that big of a deal at this stage in the game because Alphari just continues to get further and further ahead. 22 CS advantage. The Volibear getting ahead as well, and Upset staying even at this point in the game. Definitely not ideal, but the power of Kalista in that utility late game can still be very valuable.
Yeah, so I think just looking at how this early game has panned out, like, both teams have a lot to be happy with. Vitality able to thwart the dive in the top lane, get a kill onto Milica, staying even in CS in most lanes. Top lane not going great for Cabochard at the moment, but I think Vitality are telling themselves, hey, we're going to scale up, we're going to do a lot of damage later on to this game. At the same time, though, OG, even though they haven't carved out a big gold lead, because they got 2 Drakes for themselves, they're looking to play for a soul fight around the 20 to 25 minute mark, which is exactly where their comp is going to be thriving. Aatrox and Kalista both on 2 items. You know, if they can find their good fight right there, they don't need to take these even fights against Vitality in the late.
Oh, and I like the way Xerxe plays that one. Hiding in Fog of War as long as possible. Of course, summoning the Rift Herald now. Looks like they're going to be happy with 2 or 3 plates here. Unlikely that they're being able to take the entire tower, as Bard is also going to deny the charge.
Forgot.
But now they got the Bard ultimate out. If they follow this up with an immediate play, it's not going to feel too bad. However, Labrov...
Oh, it feels bad.
It feels bad.
It feels real bad. Oh, how can you forget? That's such a tilter, too. Like, if I'm a support player right there, like, if I'm Destiny, I am, like, furious as just, I'm like, dude, he's like, it's a Bard. Like, he does that.
His ult does
thing.
2 things.
That's his whole
deal.
deal.
2 things. It stops Herald and it saves people. Or kills people. It does 3 things. Never mind. But it only does those 3 things. Upset gonna get stunned.
Xerxe's like, wait a second, I thought my ult turned off towers, but Bard's is just strictly better.
Oh no, they stop attacking Xerxe, but yeah, they still get hit by the Herald, so yikes.
Yep.
Alright, well, another... I'm not really going to fault OG for that. It's not the biggest deal, although I will fault Labrov for this if he continues to get caught out. However, it looks like they just want to kick this fight off onto Xerxe. He's going to be in trouble. The bear has to leap right out of that one, but TP now being used. Destiny trying to find the engagement. He doesn't hit it. Alphari on the backside trying to get as much work done as he can. Comp, not the easiest target to lock down, though. The exhaust coming out from Labrov. Alphari isolated while the rest of OG retreat. What?
Wow. I mean, Alphari teleports in there, and it looks good at the start, right? He's got this flank, but OG don't have the range to be able to follow it up, and now Destiny gets caught out in mid lane, takes a big chunk of damage here. It just seems...
Can we...
They're really trying to go there, and it did not work.
Oh. Ult to cancel. Was there any follow-up? I'm not going to say I'm excited to see that replay, but we're going to need to talk about that replay, because the amount of missed spells on the side of Origen was quite high.
Yeah, and it was a little bit strange because at the start of it, like right when you see the TPs come in, you're like, oh wait, Cabochard is actually really late on his teleport. He didn't decide to come in very quickly, but this whole play starts off with Labrov going a little bit deep right there, and that's when you're like, wait, who's actually catching who? Because the rest of Vitality is here to try and follow up. But keep this in mind, there are 4 players from Vitality right here ready to go. Upset, Xerxe gets completely zoned away. Upset also pretty far away, and Nukeduck can't get over there to auto-attack either. So Alphari is basically in a 1v3 situation, while the rest of OG is trying to chase down NG, and I think Nukeduck doesn't actually get the dash over the wall, right? He had already placed his Sand Shoulders. I wasn't quite sure if he had a Q ready to go, but he wasn't able to immediately follow NG. In fact, he actually just went away from him, so NG waltzes out of that situation completely unscathed.
That is going to be difficult. This time Labrov, though, going to be the one to escape again. In the back half of that fight, OG tried to re-engage again, knowing that NG was relatively low health, and we saw just Upset using that ultimate, using the Fate's Call to try to start another engage, and it does not work out. They don't want to commit, and that's a big cooldown. Upset will have his up shortly. Destiny used his ult, it would appear, while we were in the replay. But no kill is going to come from it. So while OG, you know, they were doing well in the laning phase, it felt like they were coming out the gate swinging. OG, or Vitality, has just matched them in all of these fights.
Yeah, and Vitality, the only thing, again, they really need to have on their radars are the Drakes, right? And 40 seconds away from an Infernal, I think Vitality are actually in a decent position to fight this one. I don't know if Comp is actually sitting on any money because he's very close to completing that Trinity Force, which would be a big deal. But at the same time, Upset doesn't even have his Blade of the Ruined King, so I think he's going to be just fine. Yeah, he only has 300, so can't really go back for that one. But I still feel like Vitality are in a decent enough position to fight here based on items.
Do you know what would have given him enough gold to go back and buy a Blade of the Ruined King, Ender?
Maybe a Rift Herald?
That's right, my dude.
Hitting a tower?
And just insult to injury. That's all it is. And again, stakes, obviously it's first half of the split. Obviously in second half you have a chance to turn things around. I'll hold that thought though, as maybe Vitality go for the engage here. Third dragon is going to be important.
So OG are going to be the one starting this one up, but Cabochard is ready to cast that ultimate. If OG line up here, it could be really rough for them.
2K getting lower and lower. Obviously, they have the Kalista to try and steal it away. Ooh. They're not going to be able to take that one. OG are going to be able to walk the dragon and walk away, setting themselves up for Soul Point, and that's a big deal.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's absolutely massive for them. Again, they needed to find a Drake fight between 20 and 25 minutes, right? When their items are going to be coming through and looking strongest. So that's important. I will say Xerxe did miss the smite. It was down to 16 HP, and then he landed the extra auto attack right there. So it was very close for just a moment. But this means OG can continue to play around these objectives because it's not just that Drake they took. Well, now Rift Herald is spawned. Vitality didn't decide to trade for that on the opposite end of the map. So you better believe that with Upset and Destiny in mid lane, Xerxe pathing towards the top side, seeing so many members of Vitality camped down in this bottom lane. OG are going to set themselves up for the Rift Herald and try to even up the game.
Yeah, and very clearly indicated by the fact that Alphari is backing, not opting to try to defend that tower, doesn't want to risk anything there, knows that his team is setting up around that major objective. Of course, will be spotted out though. They are starting it. However, there's just no really resources on this side of the map for Vitality to contest. So we'll go into the hands of OG. Second Herald, never as good as the first since you can't use it for the tower plates, but still an effective pressure point for OG.
And what I love to see with the second Rift Herald is using it to actually set up mid control leading into a Drake fight, right? And with 4 minutes away from the Infernal, it's gonna be close on that one. So I'm not sure if Xerxe is actually gonna be able to wait for that and drop it down in the mid lane right as his team is moving into the river. To set that one up. But that's usually how I try to think about that second Rift Herald. You want to use it on the mid lane tower. That's the most valuable one to break open. And if you can use it as a free, like, 6th player in the mid lane to draw someone over so you are the first ones into the river to fight over a Drake, that's exactly what you want to do.
And OG are going to need, I think, that little extra oomph to set up an advantageous fight. Because Ender, earlier you talked about 80 carry itemization. Well, Blade of the Rune King's finished for Upset. Downside, it's coming at that exact moment where Ezreal has the fully stacked mana and a Trinity Force. Not good.
That is not great. Not great, especially because there's another tower falling down, and Comp is suspicious. He's always around when these turrets are going to be falling down. So he's like, yes, continue. Feed me the money. Can we actually flip over and see how much gold they have overall? Because I think a few minutes ago it was about 600 for him, and now it's 1,400. So yeah, that is a big deal, picking up both the first turret in bot lane and the one up top side. But OG are mid to try and respond.
Oh, and I like this. You can see OG peeling off. They want to guide the Herald in. They want to take down this tower, but now Destiny's just fishing for the pick. All the CC comes through. NG is just deleted. And mid lane tower will not go down, but they do get the pick there.
There you go. I mean, hey, Destiny finds a good pick. That's going to be important for them. They were about to lose a lot in top lane too, because I think Comp was up there, ended up popping the teleport, one of those 5-inch TPs to come towards mid lane. Now Xerxe has found a flank.
Destiny now stepping forward. Xerxe wants to leap into the back line on this one. Chilling Smite going down. Xerxe now pulling back. They got a lot out of Vitality there. Milica and Comp burning their respective flashes.
Remember, it is kind of hard for OG to set up fights when Destiny's Solar Flare is on cooldown. Xerxe, Alphari all have to be running in a straight line at Vitality, so Vitality just walk away. They're going to be able to get out of that one all right. They also have a lot of slows that don't allow that Volibear to reset his Q, whether it's the Bard Q or, the QW coming through from Orianna. So I actually like how their comp has been set up to make it really hard for a Xerxe and an Alphari to find the right angles, unless it is Alphari TP flanking, just hopefully TP flanking a little bit closer to the rest of his team.
Yeah, and setting OG up to really follow up on that. But as we get later, of course, Alphari will grow as a backline threat. Already has the Black Cleaver now finished. Imagine that the Death Dance is second. Cabochard, though, trying to run for his life here. Very tanky. It's a ton of armor on him, and OG do not want to deal with that, so they are just going to walk away.
It's like Volibear and Leona. They're like, well, it might take us a year and a half to actually end up getting this kill, so we'll just go back and farm our jungle. This is a warning. This is a warning for Cabo. Don't come in my territory
again.
again.
You walk away or what? Stern talking to. Got it. All right. I'm out. Because look, I mean, he has Catalyst. He has Grasp. I actually don't. I think it would take 2 minutes to kill him.
Probably. All right, Vitality, 40 seconds away from this Infernal Drake. This is going to be a big one here. Vitality trying to set up vision inside. Destiny goes in.
Taking the jungle out of the fight is everything. Now Destiny going for the follow-up. Upset's in the area, but the ultimate is not off cooldown, so it is just the 1-for-1. NG will be up.
But now there's no smite.
Yeah, but they have to kill it so quickly.
Yeah, that's the thing, is I'm not sure if Origen can actually get control over this mid wave, especially Comp using the True Shot Barrage right there. Really smart to try and set up the minions and chunks Alphari.
Alphari now pulling back, trying to take the jungle away themselves. Nukeduck going in, but he's not going to get anything. That has to be embarrassing. Oh no, Milica on a killing spree. Flash forced out from Upset by Labrov, and now Vitality going to walk in and take away this soul point. Even without a jungler, it does not matter.
No. It's a disaster for Origen right there. I mean, they were trying to find the fight. They got the pick. Destiny did a great job, but then Vitality just run it straight back into their face. Nukeduck face plants into his own sand soldiers, and Vitality able to turn that into the Drake on top.
Thank you, observers.
We're in a replay.
Oh,
Watching
okay. All right, you guys couldn't see that. That's good to know. We got a little wavy out there.
Yeah, so this is the play. So you see Nukeduck looking for the flank. They see Cabochard on the bot side, so I don't mind this play in general. But again, the flash comes through from Labrov. Milica is not hit by the ultimate, and there is zero chance of follow-up. This is the second time now Origen have tried to dive in, and they cannot do anything. Upset has to lose his flash on the back of it as well. And now we are in danger mode for Origen because they're stalled out for another 4 minutes before that potential Infernal Soul is able to be fought over. And now Milica looking really strong, Comp looking really strong. By the time we get to that Infernal, Cabochard is going to be able to start handing out these Ornn items, and already is able to, quite frankly.
And here's the thing that I'm also seeing. Labrov able to effortlessly set up vision, going to make it so nice to be a bard, but also he has the Shirelias. He has that extra movement speed, Ender. And so now an OG that already we're going to struggle to get on top of Comp and Milica are going to have an even harder time as Snare connects, but there will be no follow-up. And I'm a little bit worried for Origen because coming into this split, right, OG were expected to be top 4, no doubt. Maybe Rogue Mad Lions were going to contest more. That was the big debate, OG versus Mad Lions. Well, Mad Lions are at the top of the standings, and OG certainly in trouble. Ultimate's going to come out here from upset, but Ender, if Vitality win, they tie with OG. Vitality are in 8th place right now. OG are in that messy tie for 4th. Both teams will be 4 and 5.
It's crazy to think about, too, because we were sort of talking about this earlier where, like, both teams have had, you know, ups and downs so far in this split. You know, Vitality got a big win against G2, but people would call that a fluke. If all of a sudden at the end of the first half, you get this big win up against Origen, that is going to turn some heads going in towards the second half, you know, because we're looking at it and you say, how many teams are actually competing for playoffs? In the standings right now, you can say realistically 9 are, but then you say, okay, maybe it's actually just 7 if you discount Excel or Vitality. Hey, maybe Vitality deserve to remain in that conversation.
Yeah, and the question is, are they dragging Origen out of it? Because right now, we saw what we expect from OG. We saw individual laning prowess, strong early game, you know, building these small individual leads, taking objectives, but the fight coordination has been abysmal, and now they've just dug themselves a hole that's so difficult to come back from.
And I feel like this is something I've thought about for Origen for a long time, because they were always the team that drafted good late game scaling options, really strong team fight overall, and I wonder if it almost propped up their team fighting abilities in a way when other teams were going for the heavy skirmish style. But now in summer of this year, we see so many more teams focused on those team fights, and you see some of the mistakes Origen are making in these 5v5s, or these players say, we're falling behind, we need to go for the hero moment. Well, no, you don't actually need to. You need to coordinate with your team a little bit better. If the coordination doesn't come through, you're going to lose every single time. And Vitality have been absolutely on point on the other side of things.
They have, and playing with a lot of confidence here. They saw Xerxe step up, start to clear that ward they were now worried about getting engaged on. And now got Trinity Fusion coming in for the Ezreal as well as he starts to build towards 3rd item. Blade of the Rune King seems like would be good against all these champions that want to run at you, but could also obviously go for the Death Stance.
Yeah, I think Blade of the Rune King, when you see a lot of HP stacking on the other side, I mean, even Nukeduck's got some HP, can definitely work out for him. He should be at 30% CDR. A lot of Ezreals will take Transcendence as well. So the one reason why I think going Death Stance would be like, actually was really solid on Ezreal in particular was for that extra, you know, CDR component. But I like what I'm seeing from him. You made the call. It is going to be the Blade of the Rune King. Of course, Volibear gets to reset his Q when he gets stunned. But when you get slowed by a Blade of the Rune King and dashed away from by an Ezreal, you just cry. And that's what Xerxe is going to be doing.
Infinite slows, they've got the speed boost, they've got Bard all, and I mean, you saw Milica there on the bottom side of that Origen Tier 2 tower just dancing around the Aatrox queues.
I'm sorry. You had a great point, but I'm a little bit tilted here. Milica, what are you doing with the items? Build a Rabadon's. Cabochard is waiting to hand you some free stats, and you're trying to build a Spellbinder on me? Man.
All I'll say to you, Ender,
just when Vitality were doing everything right.
All I'll say to you is I'm with you, right? I want the Death Crown or whatever we call it, despite the fact that it's still a hat, by the way. So, questionable naming convention. But Milica has been dipping and ducking and diving, dodging. He's been doing everything right to dodge all these skill shots. So why not give him a little bit more movement speed? The boys over at G2 always say something to me, and it's that good movement wins games. And you can move a lot gooder if you got more move speed.
Hold on, oh, look at this actually. Right now, Milica's just pushing mid lane with that movement speed, while OG are set up around this Infernal Drake. This could be OG's final chance in this game, quite frankly. Try and turn things around for them if they can pick this up.
Sacrificing waves, but they're not going to sacrifice much more than that. However, Vitality are still going to be here. It's not like OG really have a ton of control on the pit. They will get a free flank on the backside with Alphari if they want to go for it, but it could all come down to a smite fight. This is where Xerxe, more senior veteran player, but now they're going to engage on a Cabochard. Not the ideal of the Fate's call. No way to really save them. They're now being zoned away. Dragon resetting is big for OG. Buys them a bit more time, but Destiny's basically already dead. Yes, he has the stopwatch, but Nukeduck gets caught out. Now they're speeding in. Nukeduck now going to zone away. Unstoppable. Ornn still chasing him down. Nukeduck in trouble. Cabochard caught on the opposite side of the wall, but the rest of Vitality are just peeling off and running to the Dragon. They now back into the pit. Alphari's confined. Ulti coming out, but we'll not be able to get anything else. 5 members
What is going on?
No one has died yet.
Everyone's just on the wrong side of the map, and now Nukeduck has said, forget the Dragon, I'm just going to push bot lane. That inhibitor tower is going to be exposed for the time being, and Cabochard is trying to go back to base, but he has TP. He's not basing to pick up the bot farm, he's basing to get back into this fight.
Are we just... All right, let's do it again. One more time, why not? There's the TP coming in. Vitality, they're committed.
Get out of their Origin. Well, now with the TP coming in, Nukeduck is bot lane for free. So he's going to get that tower at the very least, and he's going to stick around. So he's going to sacrifice his life to pick up the inhibitor too.
No.
Although, no, he's just
finding a place to recall. He doesn't want to give up his life.
Wait.
But now the TP's coming in.
Just hit the tower!
Oh, no, not like this. Can they just do Baron?
Why? Yes, they can! Comp is going to be able to get his home guards and run back up to the base. Like, just take the tower, take the inhibitor, take something!
The tower's gone. That's the good news, Ender. The tower's gone, the creeps finished the job there, but the inhibitor is still up. Oh, you've done so good, Chrissy. Hold it in. Just hold it. Just hold it. Just hold it.
I'm holding it. I mean, this is the problem, though, for Origen, because now, like, they've twice now been denied that Infernal Soul, and now Nukeduck is going to die, so... And now they don't have a Solar Flare! Vitality, do the Baron fight, it's your time to shine.
TP for Alphari, though, and a massive wave on the bottom side. OG are pinging out. Maybe they've got dreams of a backdoor win to close this one. NG isolated off to the side. Alphari starting to step forward. Xerxe there as well. Killing the jungler will be a big deal, but the Ornn is coming out, and now Alphari's just gone. Destiny caught out by the ultimate as well, but all of Vitality just going to set their sights on this Baron instead. Hey, they got an Infernal Drake. Now they got a Baron as well, and Xerxe not going to get a chance to go into this one. The Bear's trying to run for his life.
Wow.
But clean shots over the wall there on that final Mystic shot. Upset now caught out as well. Nope. Flashing just in time. That's Baron for Vitality. Gold 6K in their favor.
Welcome back to the conversation, Vitality. I believe it after watching this. Solid play overall. Comps Ezreal looking nuts. Labrov's Bartolds either picking people off and getting kills or getting a flash every single time. Been super on point with that champion so far. And, I mean, they're in the driver's seat now. I don't see any reason why they're going to stop.
At this point, if you're OG, you're praying for that Infernal Soul, but we look...
I mean, they've been praying for that for the last 15 minutes.
That's very true, because the items are also... not looking great here.
The problem is the Forge God is on Vitality's team. Like, the prayers from OG are not going to be answered.
We're getting the canon matchup, by the way. The old Volibear versus Ornn. Both of them have not done much this game, sadly. It's not a very compelling matchup. Cabochard lived. That was impressive. When he lived on top side, that was some good stuff. But yeah, Xerxe's just been getting kited just about this entire game. Christie, I did not expect this, you know? OG's the clean control team. Once they get that little lead in the early game, you always trust them to snowball it, especially against teams that are lower than them in the standings. But this has not been the story this time around, and now they're pushing forward. Labrov is not going to get picked off. He's doing a little Hylissang action there, just using that Baron buff to ferry the minions in.
And again, Nukeduck is still in top lane. Vitality have a big enough minion wave that they're going to be able to take this bot lane uncontested. That's going to force a response. They're going to then take mid lane inhibitor too, so Origen just giving every single, structure up inside of their base. And Vitality, forget top lane, like you have the minions. I'd say just keep sieging here.
Why not? You got a lot of tools. Have to be careful about grouping up, obviously, but still, you've got Cabochard there to peel, NG to peel. You can step forward, you can play a bit more aggressive. Spellbinder on Milica is there, 70 stacks, 80 stacks now. That's going to be a clean stun. That's the follow with the ult, but he's just denied Cabochard his zone. They're going to turn it on Upset instead, and now Nukeduck has to run for the hills, but he's still down. No! Vitality, they're going to close this one out cleanly. OG thought they could have a desperate last stand, but all it was desperate. Triple kill comes in for Comp. Do they try to give him the Penta here? That's what I want to see. Comp, Penta, Quadra, Destiny. Oh. Going forward. Do we get the Penta?
Get in there! Be a Labrov!
Do it.
Tank for him!
He's earned it. Oh, Vitality, they're just going to close out the game. They're just going to tie up the gold lead. No,
here we go.
Give it to him.
Penta kill!
Yes. Vitality, they tie it up. No more 8th place for them. They're sitting 4-5, tied with OG.
All right, Vitality. I mean, solid game from them overall. They sort of gave up every single early objective, but when they knew they needed to fight, they showed up, and they showed up big time. Labrov's Bard, absolutely sick. I'm glad we saw it, and I want to see more.
Yeah, completely agree. I love pairing Ezreal with supports who want nothing to do with the Ezreal, and Bard is absolutely that. He just gets to roam, he gets to do what he wants. I love it. He's a strong, independent support. You don't need no carry. That said, Comp, monster performance on this Ezreal. I was worried about giving up this Kalista because I just felt like in the tier list, I always thought that Kalista would be stronger, but OG were not able to utilize it effectively, and I think, I don't want to say comically bad, I think that's unfair to OG, but a lot of big misplays in this game kind of leave a sour taste in my mouth for Origen, because that's not how I expect them to lose games. That said, happy day for Vitality, tying up at 4-5. Milica, Comp, Labrov, those are your options for Kia player of the game.
Yeah, I mean, I think we just saw another example of range and compositions and how Vitality came in and they see a Kalista on the other side. They see an Azir and they're like, we're going to hit you from a mile away with Gragas, Ornn, and Bard. And like, what can you do? In that situation, it was really hard for OG to find those fights. And you could see how desperate they were individually, Nukeduck, Alphari, trying to force these plays that just didn't work out in the end. Vitality did a wonderful job of punishing.
All right, well, that's going to be it from us for now. We're going to hear from Comp after the break before Fnatic look to secure a 2-0 week.
That's gonna be fun, going against Matt. It's only human I dove from last year, but yeah, I'm just really excited for it.
So that Kobe is now back, I can finally prove that he's not better than me and that I deserve my place at Midlands.
I hope this split we can actually compete again with the best teams, because this is where everyone is starting for their life.
If we are gonna be improving in the same way as last split, then we are definitely gonna be like at the top.
But you know, FC Barcelona players eat veggies.
No, they don't.
Hey guys.
That's a sponsor, Dad.
I think it will be a tough one, but we are ready.
What? Come on.
Do you still have those carrots?
Of course I do. Getting them to eat healthy takes a long time. Beko Harvest Fresh preserves vitamins for longer by simulating the natural 24-hour sun cycle. Beko, eat like a pro.
And welcome back to the LEC Vitality just took down Origen, and I have Comp with me to talk about this crazy game. Hi, Comp.
Hello, hello.
Hi. So 1 week again for you guys, but I mean, you got a pentakill on top of that. So how do you feel about this week?
I mean, yeah, the pentakill was really a moment that I will remember for a while. But the whole week, I mean, honestly, we're kind of sad that we lost yesterday, but what can you do, right? For now, we are on a one win, one lose marathon, but I'm pretty sure the 2-0 weeks are going to come soon.
Yeah, and it's always better to take a week off with a victory, actually, especially with, against a team like Origen, because now you guys are tied with them. But I want to look at a specific moment of the game, because it wasn't easy at first, I'd feel. And at 19 minutes, both you and Milica have your flash down, and we know that the next fight is going to be really important because Origen have 3 Drakes already, and you're looking to get this first one. But the issue is, NG dies at the beginning of the team fight, so we're looking at the fight right now. Tell me how you set this one up.
Honestly, even though NG got caught in this fight, I think we're still really confident to fight because of the item spikes. Like, me and Ori were way stronger than enemy mid and AD. So overall, we just had to play with our range advantage and make sure that we don't get caught by Azir. And also, I guess Azir failed the flash ult, so that was an advantage to us.
Yeah, a bit too much from Nukeduck here. I agree with you, but talking a bit more about you, when we look at Vitality stats since the beginning of the split, you play a huge part in Vitality's victories and losses. So what can you tell me about your role within Vitality and the pressure you have when it comes to how the team evolves around you?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't think it's only about me. I just think overall my role as an AD carry, I think it's the role that you have to be consistent every game, and it's really important knowing, like basically being consistent means from last hitting to knowing when you item spike and you are ready to fight. So it's just for me, I just need to be consistent every game, and I'm pretty sure both on our wins and losses we have lost them because maybe I was not consistent enough.
Yeah, it's something that you'll have maybe to work on for the second part of the split. But for now, you were telling me at the beginning of the interview that you will remember this pentakill for a long time. And I think the audience will remember as well because they gave you player of the game here. So how was this game for you and how happy are you about getting this one?
I mean, overall, the game was pretty scary because we actually drafted the pretty scaling draft, but we managed to pull off the early game and scale into the mid-late game. Overall about the game, yeah, I'm really happy that we just played really good as a team. Everyone knew what he was capable of, and it showed in game.
Yeah, I mean, the interesting thing about Vitality is that we can see that when it clicks really well, but we talked about this inconsistency, and I mean, as of now, with the results, you guys are in the middle of the standings, and we're about to take a 1-week break before coming back for the second half of the split. So does the results you had so far match the expectations you had at the beginning of the split?
Honestly, our story for this half of the split is kind of weird because, let's say, versus G2 and even versus Origen a bit, we just thought that would be like one of the hardest matchups, including Fnatic and Mad, of course. And we had in our mind that it would be easier versus teams like Excel and Misfits, but we ended up losing versus those teams and winning versus the other teams. So let's hope on the other split we can beat the middle pack teams also.
Yeah, now you get to learn from these victories and face them again in the second half of the split, indeed. Comp, thank you very much for the interview and congrats on taking down Origen again.
Thank you. Yep, smiley face on top.
We're going to take a quick break and we'll come back in a few minutes with Schalke 04 versus Fnatic. Stay tuned.